Welcome to the last episode of the month of June with the Empowerment Minutes podcast. This podcast equips learning and development, coaching, and leadership professionals with practical insights, tools, nuggets of wisdom to help you thrive in leadership and in life. I'm your host, Dr. Maureen Quende. I'm an executive leadership coach, speaker, author, learning leader, CEO, and founder of EMK Learning Solutions. Today we wrap up the monthly series, right? And the theme of this month is leading forward without burnout, building capacity, connection, mentorship for the second half of the year. So throughout this month, we've explored what it means to stop leading from exhaustion. And especially women, we talked about that a whole lot, even in our webinar. We talked about how to begin leading with greater intention. We discussed building leadership capacity, reducing the load without losing momentum, and why mentorship is one of the most valuable leadership advantages that many leaders ignore and can take advantage of. So today we bring these conversations together. So the title of today's episode is Leading Forward Without Burnout, your leadership reset for the second half of the year, our leadership, including me. So as we begin this second half of the year, right, we know this is the last day of the month of June, and we're now, starting off in July from tomorrow, beginning the second half of the year. Many leaders are asking themselves this question: how do I continue leading well without slipping back into the same habits that left me exhausted in the first place? And that's really what we're going to focus on. And especially women, we're always on the go and really paying attention to not falling back to those habits and making sure that our second half of the year is even more impactful. A leadership reset, I want to clarify, it's not about starting over. It's about moving forward with greater clarity and intention. Really, it's about taking what you've learned in the first half of the year and then making those intentional adjustments and then leading differently during the next months ahead. As women, or as any leader would know, especially women, leadership is not measured by how busy you are. It's measured by the impact and the people you develop, the decisions you make consistently over time. I'm going to share a scenario here. So imagine a leader who begins every year with clear goals and good intention. I'm sharing, this is about a leader. I'm going to just use a fake name, right? Maybe Jody, right? She promises herself this will be the year she protects her time. She even delegates more, being more intentional about her work and creating those boundaries. For a while, Jody, sticks to the plan, but gradually she starts falling behind. And before you know it, every open space on her calendar is filled. She doesn't have any space to think. There's no white space. She postpones reflection. She doesn't even think there's a need to reflect. She just wants to keep going like a robot, right? She would not even rest because she thinks, oh, I just have one more task to complete. And so what happens to Jody? Her body even can't allow her, right, to even move forward, right? She breaks down. Now, this is a problem that is well known for most leaders, just as Jody and everyone else. So this problem is that it's not that of lack of commitment. It's really about going back to those habits. Did she replace those old habits with new habits? How did she make those habits stick, right? We've talked about habit stacking before. You can go back to the past episodes in the beginning of the year when we talked about dreams, goals, habits, the vision. We talked about all of that. So go back and learn how you can stack those new habits and make them stick. So here are some commitments that you can think of, applying for the second half of the year. You don't have to reinvent anything, right? You want to be able to think about a reset as beginning with few intentional commitments. Perhaps I want to invite you to make the following commitments. Maybe one, protecting your capacity. Capacity you have to ask yourself, what can I reduce? What can I redesign? What can I delegate? What no longer requires my direct attention? How can you protect your capacity? The second commitment is that of your priorities. It's not every task that requires the same level of attention. How can you schedule time for strategic thinking, protect that time for deep work? I do my deep work daily in the beginning of the day when I know that my brain allows it. I shared one of my favorite books is Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's a great resource to help you to focus and get your deep work done. And so this topic of rest is really what we're going to focus even more next month. But scheduling that time to do your deep work, and then it allows you to make progress on your work and your organization, right, and your leadership moving forward. Try to, prevent those constant interruptions, to determine your priorities. Number 3, you want to continue learning and investing in those relationships. Last week we talked about the value of mentorship. How are you continuing your learning journey? You want to stay close to the fire. How are you sharpening yourself, right? Look for those opportunities to invest in someone else's development as well as yours, right? The last one is protecting your well-being. There can be only you. If you get burnout, you get sick, you get to the point that you can't work, right? Your job, they're going to replace you in a heartbeat, right? So you want to be intentional and not neglect your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Rest is not something that is negotiable, right? You want to be able to practice that every single day so you can prevent burnout. Take care of yourself, allow you to better take care of yourself and also take care of those you lead, right? So as we close this series, I would like you to think about your reflection from listening to this episode. I want to leave you with some reflection questions, right? What leadership habit do you need to leave behind? What boundary do you need to strengthen? What relationship do you need to invest in? What leadership strength do you want to continue developing? What is one commitment you would keep during the second half of the year? Do not try to change everything. Choose the one and begin there, and then slowly you can be able to make more and more progress, right? So that's your action step I want to challenge you for this week. Schedule 1 hour on your calendar before the week ends. Make it like an important meeting with yourself. During that time, review your goals, review your second half of the year. Make sure rest is part of your goals. Take a look at your calendar, your commitments. What are some things that you need to cancel? Identify that habit you want to stop and the one you want to strengthen and the action you're going to take immediately. As we conclude this month's series, I want to leave you with this thought. Leading forward without burning out is not about becoming a perfect leader. It's about becoming that intentional leader. So I would like to thank you for joining me throughout this month's series. I hope these conversations have encouraged you to lead with greater clarity, build those relationships, and renew commitment to yourself and to your team that would allow for sustainable leadership. So I encourage you to share this with another leader who's preparing for the second half of the year. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep building building your leadership journey that is sustainable, purposeful, and impactful. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Marie signing off. I'll see you next month.